Welcome to the Empowerment Hour, a podcast dedicated to the woman ready to take charge of her life, live in her purpose, and be unapologetically authentic. I am your host, Nancy Ruffin, award-winning author, mommypreneur, and the self-proclaimed Latina Oprah who is dedicated to helping women unleash their power, discover their purpose, and live up to their fullest potential. My goal is to empower you, inspire you, and help you unlock your passions and discover your purpose so that you live the most fulfilled and impassioned life. If you're ready to make a change and start living on purpose, then you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to another week of the Empowerment Hour. I am your host, the Latina Oprah, Nancy Ruffin, and I'm super excited to be back this week. Thank you for joining me for another week. It's been a crazy last couple of weeks. First of all, today's Memorial Day, so happy Memorial Day to you all. I hope you had a fabulous weekend, drinking, eating, barbecuing it up with your loved ones, and also taking some time to acknowledge our brave men and servicewomen who are out there fighting for our freedoms and protecting our freedoms, from those who want to take it away from us. Because we all know that freedom is not free. But in any case, I'm just getting back from my Mexican vacation. As many of you already know, I turned 40 on May 19th. A huge milestone for me, has put me in a different mind frame for the next phase of my life. I've entered this new decade just really free. I've left all of the BS that I was dealing with in my 30s, right? So I've come into my 40s fearless, fierce, free, refreshed, refocused, all of these wonderful things, because I just don't have the energy or the desire anymore to hold on to things that were not serving me, things that were not growing me, and things that were just not overall beneficial to the vision that I have for my life moving forward. So yeah, I left all that shit back in my 30s. So nothing but hopefully smooth sailing these next few years as I embark on really going full force towards my dreams and towards making this media empire that I'm building a reality, right? Because that's why I dubbed myself the Latina Oprah, because I want to achieve the levels of success that she has, and in all the different mediums that she's been able to break through. Like, she's just a phenomenal businesswoman. She's a phenomenal philanthropist. She gives so much to her community, and I mean, she's just everything I aspire to be. But in any case, back to my vacation. It was absolutely wonderful. I spent it with my closest friends and family. In total, there were 20 of us, and so it really meant a lot to me when you think about 20 people who are willing to travel to another country just to celebrate your life, right? That puts things into different perspective, because there are times when I struggle with myself even, and not with my value or worth, but sometimes I ask myself, am I as good to others as they are to me? And having them show up for me like that meant a lot, because I mean, you're not going to go out of your way for someone who you don't feel values you or loves you or appreciates you. And so for me, having all of them show up for me really, I guess, solidified for me that I'm not that bad, right? They really do love me. They appreciate my presence in their life. And so for that, I want to thank them, because I always try to give the best of myself to those who I love, to those who I'm closest to. And I mean, sometimes I know that I fall short. I'm only human. And so there are going to be times when I drop the ball. But overall, I try to be a good person. And so the fact that they all traveled for me, it just really touched me. I was really super emotional on the actual day of my birthday because my sister and my brother-in-law, they planned a really wonderful dinner for me in the resort that we were staying at. And after dinner, each of the people that had attended gave brief speeches about me, and it was so heartwarming. And just to sit there for that moment and listen to these amazing people say these things about me just really makes me appreciate them on a whole different level. And so if you guys are listening, thank you so much for loving me, for holding me up, for supporting me, for believing in me, and for being the tough voices when I need it, right? For kind of snapping me out of my shit when I need it, for bringing me back to reality when I need it, because that's what being friends and is all about. And when you love someone, you want to be able to call them out when they're not fulfilling their fullest potential. And so my friends and family do that for me. And so I appreciate you all. There were some that were missed, for different reasons they couldn't make it. But you all, you know who you are still very important parts of my life. And I love you all. But the vacation was fabulous, guys. If you guys ever go to Mexico and stay in the Cancun, Riviera Maya area, I absolutely recommend the Royalton Riviera Maya Cancun Resort and Spa. It was an absolutely beautiful resort. Some of the best service I've ever received on vacation. The hotel was spotless, impeccably clean. The food was delicious. The facilities, everything was great. I had a spa day with my sister and my nieces and my aunt and my mom. It was just so relaxing, so absolutely needed. And this is a resort that I will definitely go back to if I visit Cancun again. So if you guys are planning something, definitely check it out. It was absolutely worth every single dollar that I spent to get there. But enough about that. So let's kind of get right into this week's topic. And when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, I really wasn't sure. And I figured, let me just see what my heart and what my spirit is calling me to address. And so this week's show, I want to talk about the importance of remaining authentic, right? Earlier this week on my Instagram, I had posted this meme that said, "Stop fronting, be authentic." And the reason why I did that is because in this age of social media, when many equate relevance and popularity to the number of likes or followers one has, it has almost become the norm to pretend to be living a life that you don't necessarily have. And I've seen this firsthand from people that I know. They portray one life for social media, right, and for the rest of the world to see, and they're living totally different lives behind the scenes. And that kind of, I see that a lot. And I think that because we've become so, I guess, ingrained, or so, not even ingrained, but so addicted to social media, and we've become addicted to the feeling that we get when we see, someone likes our pictures, or the amount of followers that we have, that it's easy to fall into the trap of posting things solely because we want more followers or because we want more likes. And I just wanted to highlight that there's so many who are posting things that are super deceiving. And it's so hard, because I want you guys to know, don't believe everything you see on Instagram, on Facebook, on Snapchat, on any of these social media, platforms, especially young people, because I think they're so impressionable at certain ages, and when they see these things, they may come to believe that they have to live this same type of life to be relevant, to feel important, to feel like they're enough. And it's just so the wrong message that we can be sending to young people. I mean, and to young, old, anyone. It's the wrong message, because the reality is that the majority are not living as fabulous as they pretend to be, right? There's many who are struggling. There are many who are heartbroken, right? So you may see them, they post a lot about love or about their relationship, and that's all, for social media. But then behind the scenes, they're probably in a super dysfunctional relationship. They have problems with their children. They can't make ends meet. They're struggling month to month just to pay their bills. They have no money saved in the bank, yet you see them, flossing with some of the most expensive labels out there. And so the point I'm trying to make is that for the average person that's out here striving and the one that's just trying to hold it all together, social media can make you feel like you don't measure up, right? And so I really want to talk about that for a minute, because when we see people who are equating their worth and their value based on material things, or based on how many people are liking their photos, or how many followers they have, or how many people just genuinely like them, those types of people are almost always going to live fake lives, right? Because they're afraid, really, to be who they really are, because something in their journey, something somewhere along the line in their life, someone has told them that who they were or who they are was not enough. And so when you internalize these messages of inadequacy, and feeling that you don't measure up, then you're constantly going to be seeking things or doing things based on what you feel others are going to like. So hence that's why we may see people, in their photos, and they're tagging, every item that they're wearing, hashtag Chanel, hashtag Louboutin, hashtag Louis Vuitton, I mean, whatever. They're hashtagging everything that they have on, because they feel that that's validating themselves. And they feel that whoever's looking at this picture is going to look at them and be like, wow, they're so fabulous. I want to be like them, right? But for me, and this takes some growing up, right? Because when you're young, it's really easy to get impressed by things like that. But you have to remember that these same people who are out there living this fake fabulous life don't have a pot to piss in, probably live in shitty ass apartments. Okay, they have no money in savings for a rainy day. If they lose their job tomorrow, they'll be out on the street homeless with their Chanel bags. So these are the things that just kill me, because they're perpetrating this image. And really, what for what? What is it doing for them? What is it doing for someone else? Is it that they think they're inspiring someone else to want to live their life? For me, I'm not going to be inspired by someone just because they have labels or they're rocking labels. I really want to see what your life is. What is it that you're doing to help others? What have you gone through to get to this level of success, right? So yeah, you may have all these labels, but let me see how you really live. How do you take care of your kids? What kind of experiences are you having, right? These are the things that inspire and impress me, and so I want to talk about staying true to who you are, and how we can kind of get back to that. Because sometimes I think we just lose our way. Sometimes it's not even intentional. Sometimes, we do want to have these great things. We do want the fabulous things. We do want the name brand things, right? I want those things. Absolutely. I have them also, but I'm not hashtagging them in every photo. I'm also not spending my mortgage money to go buy me a Chanel bag. Shit, them Chanel bags, if I'm gonna be honest, are way more than my fucking mortgage. Okay, so in order for me to afford a Chanel bag, that's 2 months mortgage for me, and it just doesn't make sense. What the fuck is a bag gonna do for me? What? It's gonna impress the next person. They're gonna look at me and they're gonna say, "Oh wow, she has a Chanel bag." Big fucking deal. I don't need no one to like me off of what I have. And I think that's the difference. That I want someone to like me for who I am, not for what I have, not for what they think um, that I have, or just this whole phoniness, And so, how do you then remain authentic? How do you tap into that authenticity? So let's talk about that. First of all, authenticity comes from your being, right? That authentic self is the you that can be found at your absolute core, right? So it's the person who, when you're home and you let down your hair, you take off your makeup, you take off all those fancy clothes and those labels, and you sit with yourself butt naked in your birthday suit and what God gave you, and you look at yourself, and that's who you are. Who are you at your core? What drives you? What are your morals? What are your values? What's important to you, right? When you start looking at yourself in that lens, that's how you start to tap back into your authenticity. And it's really easy to deviate from that because the world, society, social media, everything around us is telling us that we're not good the way that we are, which is why we spend so much freaking money on makeup. We have to make sure that our hair is laid, that our nails are done, that our clothes are crisp and fresh, that we're fly to death, right? Because this is what we have been conditioned to believe about ourselves. We're not good enough without all of these things. And I have fallen victim to that. So believe you me, I am not even trying to sit on this high horse to think that I'm better than anyone because yes, it's very rarely. I mean, I'm a person who gets my hair done every single week. Okay, and so for me, it's easier to do that than to have to kind of do my own hair. But that's my own thing. But I own it, And so I understand that there's things that I do also um, that have been influenced, by the world around me. But I also know who I am at my core. And so I don't feel like I need to have material things to validate who I am, to make people like me. Because the reality is that if people don't like me for who I am, I don't want those people in my life. Don't like me for my bag. Don't like me for the kind of shoes that I'm wearing. Don't like me for the area code that I live in. I don't want you to like me off of that. I want you to like me because I'm a real person, because I will tell it how it is, because I'm a strong-minded individual, because I have opinions, because I want to see people succeed. I want people to like me for who I am. So so tapping into that authenticity is really tapping into who you are at your core. And so if you've lost sight of who that is, then this might be a good time to reevaluate that, to sit with yourself and assess who you are now versus who you were and who you want to be going forward, and then see where the gaps are and then fill in those gaps so that you can become, more of your authentic self. And understand that I'm not saying you gotta look shitty to be authentic. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that I don't want you to give so much value to what other people think about you in order for them to like you. Who you are, the way you are right now, is absolutely enough. Okay? And so I think that the first thing we can do in staying true to ourselves is risking to be ourselves, right? Dare to be you. And I say that because it's really scary letting people see us as we really are. Okay, it's scary to let people see our truth. It's scary to let people see our flaws and to see us at our most vulnerable. Um, primarily because we're afraid that if they see us in that light, if they really see who we are, then they won't like us. So really, in order to be real and true to yourself, it's important to let go of fears about what others think. You have to let that shit go. Okay? And if people don't like you for who you are, fuck them. Good riddance, sayonara, goodbye. You don't need them. Really, you don't. So instead of trying to fit in, instead of always needing to be nice, instead of feeling like you always have to agree with everyone, how about just taking a risk to be who you are, right? Stand up from the others, have your own opinion, disagree with someone if you don't like what they're saying, okay? Use your own voice. And if it makes you feel uncomfortable, then you're fighting who you really are, right? If it's easier to fit in, then that in itself is telling you that you're being dishonest to yourself. Okay, because sometimes you have to allow yourself to be uncomfortable, to sit in that discomfort, because it's in that discomfort where you're challenging yourself. You have to understand that who you are, as you are right now, is absolutely good enough. Don't wait for approval. Don't avoid disapproval either. Okay? If they don't like you, they don't have to like you. Fuck them. Goodbye. All right, you don't like me. My life ain't gonna end because you don't like me. And that's the attitude you have to take. You're not gonna cease to exist in the world because someone does not like you. Okay? And if someone doesn't like you, and someone has a problem with you, and I say this because I came across this post the other day on Facebook with this woman who is extremely successful, and she highlights her successes on her social media, as many of us do. Right? I have no problem with doing it. I don't have a problem with others doing it. I think we should celebrate ourselves, and so that's what she was doing. She was celebrating herself, but someone took it upon themselves to send her like a letter, telling her that who the hell does she think she is, that she's really not that great, that why is she always on social media bragging about herself? I mean, just crazy, crazy stuff. And so I replied to this woman, and because she was feeling, I don't know what she felt, but she let the letter get to her, and she posted it on social media. And so my response to her was, I actually feel sorry for this woman. Whoever had the time to sit and write you a letter and outline every single thing that you do that bothers them, I feel sorry for that person, because who the fuck has that much time to do that, right? Clearly, she has nothing going on in her life if she can pretty much sit there and stalk someone else's life and then write a letter to them about it. I feel sorry for her because all of the things that she's saying in this letter to you are her own issues. They are the things that she is struggling with in herself. So if someone doesn't like you for whatever reason it is, it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them and where they are in their lives. And I always point to Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements. If you haven't read that book, I absolutely recommend it. It's one of my go-to books. All the time when I just have to kind of get myself back, into reality and in remembering who I am. But the second agreement, he says, don't take anything personally, because other people's opinions of you are none of your business. Their opinions of you have nothing to do with you, but have everything to do with them. So I just want you to be mindful of that. Okay? Each and every one of us, we're different. We're unique. We were made that way, right? If God wanted us to all be the same, he would have made us all exactly the same. The same color, the same race, the same hair texture, the same gender. If we were meant to be the same, that's how he would have made us. But we're not. We're intended to be different. Why? Because each one of us has different gifts. We have different talents, and it's in our individuality and in that uniqueness that we learn from each other, that we teach one another, right? Because I don't know it all, right? And my experiences are not your experiences. So I can absolutely learn from you. You can learn from me. Even if, we're different cultures, different ethnicities, whatever it is, there's always something to learn from someone else. And so it's better for me. I embrace differences. And in fact, I rather establish a relationship with someone who is different than someone who is just like everybody else. Because what can I learn from you? You're like every other person. If you're doing what everyone else is doing, you can't teach me anything, right? So no, I don't want to get to know you. I want to get to know the person who is new to me, who is seeing the world with new eyes, who has new experiences to share with me. And that's what being authentic is about. It's about trusting yourself. It's about thinking for yourself, acting for yourself, speaking for yourself, right? Just be yourself. Fitting in, for me, in my opinion, is a short-term strategy, right? Standing out, that's what pays off in the long run, because no one ever remembers the person that fits in. It's the person who stands out that people won't forget. So jot that down. People never remember the person who fits in. It's the person who stands out that people won't ever be able to forget. And so if you had to choose, right, wouldn't you want to be the unforgettable one? I know I do. I don't want to be like everyone else. I don't want to stand next to somebody and someone overlook me because I'm just like the 10 other people before me. No, I want to be that person that stands out, whether if it's because of how I look, whether it's because of my opinion, whether it's because the way I look at life, my experiences, whatever it is. I want to be that person that stands out. However, it's scary, right, to be different. Because when there's 10 people who are all the same, and then you're the only one that's different, yeah, you're going to be the sore thumb, right? And sometimes it's easier, it's safer to fit in, right? Because when you stand out, you're putting yourself on Front Street. And sometimes we're not ready for that. But you know what? You can't change who you are. So stop running away from who you are. Stop running away from yourself. And another way that we can tap into that authenticity is really about being present in our lives, like right now, like living in the moment, not waiting for the perfect opportunity to pop up, not, taking a photo and then going into Photoshop and editing it and curating it and making sure that it looks like the best picture ever so that it can get, 2, 3, 400 likes. No, you have to live in the moment. So you take that candid photo and all right, you may have acne or your hair may not be perfectly coiffed or whatever, but you're happy, right? There's a smile on your face. There's a light in your eyes because you're enjoying that moment and it was captured, on camera. And so those are the moments that you want to live for. Those moments of being present, of enjoying just who you are. I love filters just like everyone else, but I'm learning to enjoy just the moments as they happen. I was in Mexico, and one of the things I tried not to do was be on my phone all of the time that I was there. However, I love taking pictures because I know a lot of people say, put the cameras away, don't take the pictures, just live in the moment. And that's half true, but for me, I like to document moments, right? Because once you live them, that's it, they're gone forever. And unfortunately, memories fade, right? And so for me, capturing the moment in a photo always helps me to remember the day, remember what I felt like, remember what the weather was like. I mean, all of those things. I've documented every major event, in my life and my family's life. I'm like the photographer of my family because I live with my camera. But it's so important, and Um, Even now, when I look back at, like, with my sister and her kids, she has no pictures of her children when they were little. I have all the pictures. So whenever she needs photos, whenever they need photos for like school from when they were younger, they're all calling me. Oh, can you send me a picture? I have all the pictures because for me it's so important to capture those moments because we never get them back, right? So yes, it's great to live in the moment, um, but it's also nice to save the moment, and I think I'm probably going off on a tangent here. This has nothing to do with your authentic self, um, documentation of it, but absolutely being present, being present, it has to do with being authentic because you're not trying to put up any walls or any airs or it's just about being who you are, where you are at that precise moment in time. And one other thing that I talk a lot about in tapping back to your authenticity is deepening yourself. And what I mean by that is never stop learning, never stop growing, right? You want to tap into all of those things that you love to do, the things that maybe you've put to the wayside for whatever reason, but getting back to those things and learning to be with yourself. A lot of times, what I say to my friends, or what I used to say to my friends who were single, is that if you're single, don't look for men or for a partner to fulfill a part of you, right? And so you have to be the partner you want to attract. And what I mean by that is, if you're single, and this is what I mean about deepening your connection, your relationship with yourself, right? You have to treat yourself the way you want your partner to treat you. So take yourself out to fabulous meals if that's something you want your partner to do. Treat yourself to spa days, right? If that's how you want your partner to treat you. Take time to be with yourself, to love on yourself, to care for yourself, right? Do all of those things for yourself if that's what you want from another person. Because until you can take care of yourself and give yourself everything that you need, you're going to always be looking for someone else to complete you. And then you're never going to have a successful, happy, fulfilling relationship. Okay, so being authentic is also about tapping into your core, taking care of yourself, loving yourself just the way you are. Loving your authentic self, because then when you love yourself authentically, the person who comes into your life, the people who you attract into your life, whether it's a partner, whether it's friendships, whether it's your career, jobs, whatever, you're going to attract those things to you based on who you are and based on how you value yourself and what you want for yourself. That's what really being authentic is all about. And, for me, I've been on this journey for quite some time because I wasn't always like this, and I still struggle. There are times when I can get real petty. There are times when I let my ego get in the way and take over, and make me act out in ways that I know are not in the best interest of my highest self. But I can acknowledge that now because I've done so much work on myself and tapping into who I am at my core, that when I'm not honoring who I am at my core, I can see how that's manifesting in my outer world. So I can see when I'm being petty. I can see when I'm being bitchy. I can see when I'm letting my ego take over and control my life. I can see all of these things now because I've been able to tap into my authentic self. And who I am at my core is not any of those things, and so it's a journey. It's a process. It's not something that happens overnight. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of self-reflection and really being honest with yourself and being able to identify those areas where you have to improve. and for me, it's a constant journey, and a lot of this work that I do to help other women, it's because I've done it. I've experienced it. And so I also know the benefits that it reaps when you invest in yourself. We're the greatest asset that we're ever going to invest in. So why not invest in ourselves, right? Because the return on investment is great. Because when you invest on yourself, you never lose. And so I'm gonna end this podcast with that one last thought. And this week I challenge you to really look at yourself and see how aligned you are with your authentic self. If you really are living authentically, if you're being your true self, or if you're portraying an image. Okay, and I don't want to knock you for that, but if you are, I want you to ask yourself why. What is the necessity for that? And sit with yourself and be honest, and then see what comes up for you. And if you're inclined to share with me, I would absolutely love to hear it. You guys know how to find me. You can shoot me a DM. You can email me. Hit me up on any of my social media platforms. But until then, mi gente, have an amazing week. Stay focused on your plans. June is right around the corner. That means half of the year is up. Where are you on your vision boards, right? So revisit them. If you strayed from them, get back on track and crush some goals.